Welcome back to Lupus Speaks and Chronically Planned. Today is Wednesday, and I'm so thrilled to have my friend Roxanne Lerner join us. Roxanne is a certified yoga teacher and holistic health coach who's been living with lupus since 2010. She founded RL Wellness, offering mindfulness-based coaching to help others achieve a balanced, healthier life. Her journey from diagnosis to empowerment is truly inspiring. And I just can't wait for you guys to hear her conversation. So let's just dive right on in.
Welcome to the Lupus Speaks podcast. I'm your host, Shant'e, and I'm here to inspire and empower lupus warriors just like you. So grab your favorite drink and a notebook because you'll want to take some notes. Whether you're navigating the challenges of lupus or balancing health, faith, personal development, and business, together we dive into real stories, expert tips, and loopy gems to help you stay strong in both your journey and your hustle. So let's create the life we deserve while staying true to who we are. Ready to level up? Come on, let's go. I'm your host, Shant'e, and today we have beautiful Roxanne. Hi, Roxanne.
Hi.
Hi. Good morning. So how's life with you going? Are you feeling good today?
Yes, I'm feeling great. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I've been watching you online and seeing some of the things that you've been doing, and I think it's so cute, especially the yoga studio. I didn't even know it was possible that you can have one virtually. So I think it's super, super cool that you're doing that. So if yoga is often seen as a powerful tool for healing, can you share how yoga became a part of your lupus journey and how it's helped your personality?
That is such a great question. I never expected to become a yoga teacher. That was not part of my life plan. But I ended up working at a nonprofit wellness center. So my background is in fundraising and events. And I was doing that in New York City, where I'm from. And when I was diagnosed with lupus at 27, I had to quit my dream job. I ended up working for a family member part-time. So that really helped me get through the hardest years, being really sick. I couldn't work the job I loved, but I ended up, being able to go somewhere a few hours a day in between doctor's appointments and, being home on the couch. And my husband and I decided to leave New York. I always say if you can't do New York things, and in New York, it's pretty depressing. And I was just so sick at the time that we decided change of scenery, move down to the DC area where he's from. And I always felt that working was really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking for a part-time job, and my brother-in-law told me about a nonprofit wellness center down the street from me that people didn't realize was a nonprofit. And that was a specialty area.
Right.
So I met with the founder. I always say it was love at first sight. I sort of pitched to her my background, and I loved what she had to tell me about the studio. But I think their struggle was to have the community understand it was a nonprofit. It wasn't just your typical yoga studio. It was so much more. So I landed there, and it was a short time after starting that she asked me if I wanted to take our yoga teacher training. Still without will. Managed to work. I think being there just started to help me heal because I was doing everything we had to offer. And the founder's a neuroscientist. So I was learning the science behind these mindfulness practices. So I took a leap of faith.
Okay.
I enrolled in the training, and over the years working there, I got healthier and healthier and started teaching yoga. And really the crux of it is the nervous system regulation, learning and feeling the change in my nervous system. So that's when your stress hormones, your cortisol levels go down, your immune system quiets, which for us with lupus is the most important thing, right? Lowering inflammation. There, all of my symptoms slowly started to improve. And also I was able to make lifestyle changes from a calmer place.
Right.
So it all sort of came together. That's how I became a yoga teacher.
So let's go back some. When you were first diagnosed, what were some of the signs and symptoms that you were having that made you feel like, you know what, I'm sick?
So it's really kind of crazy in hindsight that I didn't realize how sick I was. I was super sick. I was still working long hours and working out and going out and doing all these things. But in hindsight, I realized that I had so many symptoms, such as butterfly rash. My hair was falling out. My hands started to hurt. I always say my hands stopped working. That's really a red flag to me. I had so much swelling and joint pain, I couldn't make my bed. I couldn't do the laundry. And then all of my lymph nodes swelled up. So that's when I went to see my GP. That's when she told me that my vitamin D was very low. But she really couldn't tell me much else. She didn't really give me great direction. But I have a doctor in my family. And I went to see him. And this is my great uncle, who is a rheumatologist, who helped develop the test for lupus.
Wow.
I hear it. And I went to see him. Also, I was very fatigued. I didn't know, I didn't have the mind-body connection. I was so unaware. So I went to see him and he said to me, "You have lupus." And I thought, well, if he's telling me this, it must be true.
Right.
So he sent me to NYU to see, he was semi-retired at the time. He sent me to NYU and the doctor didn't agree right away. He thought maybe I had mixed connective tissue disease, but it wasn't too long after that. Everyone agreed it was lupus. And at that point, my system just crashed.
Yeah. It's kind of like when I don't know what it is. It's like, okay, you're feeling this way, but as soon as you get a name on it, then you just start feeling everything that comes with it. Before it wasn't that bad, but now that you put this on it, now I feel it. It's like, it's so wild that happens.
Yeah. Bodies also are living in fight or flight, and this state of it's like the adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, our immune systems really can't continue like that. And it was just like, I was just done.
So when you did get the diagnosis, you already was aware of what lupus was, or did you have to find out later with information and just experiencing it? Or did you like what was your initial reaction like? Because I know I didn't have no clue.
No, I really didn't know. I mean, autoimmune diseases do run in my family, but I had been healthy my entire life. There were really no signs of any of this. But as we know, it takes years. It's brewing. So, of course, little things like the year before I was diagnosed, I didn't know, but I was at the beach and something did not feel right because I'm highly photosensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just went into researcher mode. It was like my family and I just dove into as much, education as we could. I had great doctors, luckily, and it really did take a while it took a long time to process. You're so in it. It's like survival. Everybody is just trying to survive, make the best decisions, figure things out, as quickly as you can, but also it took a really long time, even knowing what I had quickly, to start to feel better. Years.
Yeah. So what was it like? And, I guess when it came to you making the decision to have children, was that before your diagnosis or afterwards? And how did that impact you when you made that decision when it comes to your health?
Sure. So my husband and I were dating at the time when I got sick. I always say, thank God we had been friends for years, because I don't know if somebody who I just started dating would have stuck around.
Right.
It's just my rock. There was no question, whether or not he was going to stick around.
Either. Yeah. Yeah. Love that.
Amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Always, to have kids. And so we got married 2 years after I was diagnosed. And then a year later, we moved to Maryland. And I think part of our decision to move was to start to plan, prep. There's a lot of pregnancy preparation that I talk about. on before you can even begin to start trying, if you're on medication, just getting your body ready and your mind ready. So
Right.
I always would tell my doctor, I'm going to get pregnant. So I need your help. We need to work together. I was pretty vocal about it for sure. So it took time, getting off medication. And also I had these great tools that I was learning at work. The meditation aspect has been a part of my life since I got sick, actually. So I think all of those things really helped. I talk a lot about stress reduction when you're preparing to get pregnant. It can be one of the most helpful tools in, getting pregnant. But it was always part of our plan. Actually, my husband reminded me recently, he went to a talk at NYU about women with lupus and pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm heard, go ahead.
I know a lot of people really don't speak on it much. Because I know a lot of lupus warriors out there that they're so reserved and they're afraid to try, or they have tried and just hasn't been successful. And I was going to ask you, what advice do you have for them? Because one of the things, some people do experience a great pregnancy. Like myself, I had a great pregnancy. I didn't have any flares or anything. But what was your experience afterwards? Because I definitely got a flare both times after having my daughters.
So I can totally relate to that. I got pregnant very quickly with my daughter, and I felt amazing for 9 months. It was the best I had felt, I had looked in years. And I think I sort of convinced myself, oh, this is it. I'm going to be great. But I knew there was the risk of the 6 months postpartum flare.
Yeah.
I experienced hard.
Yeah.
And then I actually had a miscarriage in between my 2 kids.
Same. So it was a lot. Your body, like, okay, what just happened? In that recovery process and the mental process. So yeah, I understand.
But again, we had planned on 2 kids. And so when the time was right, I got pregnant easily and I had a great pregnancy. And then that postpartum flare, I ended up at the infectious disease clinic at Georgia. I was so sick. So I the advice I would give to anyone with lupus who wants to have children, make a plan. Really sit down and think long and hard about your timeline. Tell your doctors, start to work with your doctors. And from the minute you decide you want to do that, take action on the stress reduction piece.
Yeah.
All women, whether or not you have an illness or not, when you are stressed, we know it affects maybe how quickly you can get pregnant, all the factors.
Yeah.
That stress reduction is an important piece.
So there was something that you said before because I recognize that I've said this before, where I said, I never was sick. When I was growing up, I didn't really get sick. Nothing really happened to me. But it's like what you say, like hindsight, now I'm looking back, I might have not been sick, but I was in high stressful environments. And so it was like living that and navigating that flight or flight. My body was always trying to figure out a way to regulate because I was always in situations where it was just not either safe or whatever. So could you look back and say that that's something that you experienced when you were growing up? So where maybe your body was dealing with navigating that as well? Or was it just I don't know how to explain that one, but I think you get the question.
It's a good question. I was predisposed to anxiety for sure. And when you're anxious and you don't understand the mind-body connection and you can't calm your nervous system because you don't even realize that's what's happening, it does have an impact on your health over the long term. So, we know stress is a factor, genetics, gut health, like there's so many different factors, but especially the years leading up to my diagnosis, I was under a lot of stress for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard to, we can't pinpoint one. They're all the different factors that play a role, but stress is it's like the last bit of water, cup overflow. Like it always,
yeah.
I think I was also in an environment where there might have been mold because I was getting headaches for the first time. So it's really interesting to look back on what was going on and try to, or not now, but over the last 14 years, to really like unwind from all of that.
Yeah. So let's go to creativity, inspiration, because I love to see warriors win and like be able to take our stories and package it into something great and amazing for the community. So what inspired you to launch the RL Wellness, which is a virtual studio, you guys, if you don't know, and it is for the community in yoga and wellness. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So the wellness center where I worked for at least 8 years closed its location after the pandemic.
Okay.
So I was home with 2 young kids, and my husband was locked up in his office working, and I continued to work virtually. We were a virtual organization. I worked for about 1.5 years, and at some point I realized I couldn't go online. It was just too hard. It wasn't with, my work family. I was isolated at home. It was hard with the kids. And so I started to think, well, if I'm not doing this, what am I going to do? And I began teaching yoga in my house. I thought I could help moms who were stressed. And I've always been on the periphery of our community.
Okay.
I shared my story with the foundation. I've always been involved.
Okay.
The walks and the fundraising. But there's a lot of information that goes on online in our community related to yoga that I felt like I couldn't get too involved because there was a lot of misunderstanding. And either I just could watch or it was going to be time to like step in and give my opinion.
Okay.
So I wasn't really ready to do that. So I was teaching yoga at my son's school. The moms and some of the teachers would come to my house. And then word of mouth, I've always taught people with different chronic illnesses, but it wasn't focused.
Okay.
I felt like if I'm focused on our community, I'm going to start to feel bad because I'm always thinking about lupus. I'm always thinking about health. So it wasn't until meeting some of these great lupus warriors online, others who in the fall, I basically forced to Zoom with me. I was like, you have great energy. I need to meet you. And after talking to a few people, I realized I could do this in a fun way. And I didn't have to be quiet about things like yoga and why it's helpful. And there's science behind it. This isn't woo. And I one day, just like impromptu video I made, I'm so sorry to anyone in our community who is told that yoga or any of these mindfulness practices are a cure because we know there's no cure.
And the misconception of it being like witchcraft. Like, so you telling me stretching my arms and getting my body in a comfortable space where I can function is witchcraft? Like, I hate that misconception.
I started to say, this isn't woo, there's science. But the thing about these practices, insight is great, but you have to take action. And if I always felt like if someone just gave me a chance and took a class, because I've had so much success with so many people in live person and virtually. I've been teaching virtually. I saw the change in my students with POTS, with lupus, with MS, with endometriosis. I've worked with women for years. And myself, I was my own first student.
Right.
It comes down to calming your nervous system and all of the changes that happen from there. So this was in the fall. I was meeting people and I was getting really good feedback on what I was sharing. And I thought, you know what? Now is the time. If I'm ever going to do this in a big way, I'm just going to go for it. And so I'm going for it.
Right. And you know what you're doing. So it's not like you have a lot of success stories. I think it's always our brains just holding us back, trying to tell us that we're not. And the thing is, another misconception is that we have to technically be an expert or go to school for business or something like that. And it's like, no, technically you could learn a skill. And if you are proof that it works, then you can tell somebody else, you can teach somebody else, you can advise, you can mentor. You don't have to have all of these accolades above to show that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about. So I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Hey, I have to say, like, it feels great to be able to share this in a way that is easy to understand. I also think people may think of yoga or breathwork or meditation as this huge commitment. And the truth is, if people knew how little I did each day, I think they would be surprised. But it's being consistent and it's doing it and doing it throughout the day. So what I teach in class, not just about what you do in that 30 minutes or that 60 minutes. It's taking those practices and using it throughout the course of your day in your life, because then you are really able to take action from a place of calm. And when you have lupus, any little thing you can do to start to feel better, not just yoga, it builds on, I'm also a health coach. It builds on diet and exercise. It's like all the lifestyle factors that I've seen my students and myself change more easily. It's because when I'm doing it, I'm not anxious. I'm not stressed. I'm pretty calm.
Right.
It's hard to change when you're living in a state of fight or flight.
Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely.
What's going on in your body when you're stressed.
Yeah. So, okay, for the listeners that might be new to yoga or unsure about it, can you walk us through like what that process would look like? Like, what are your wellness offerings? So, like, how do you support us through the studio?
Sure. So right now I'm offering private classes. These are very specific classes. I didn't want to offer just general yoga because I don't think that's as helpful as getting like you said, down to the crux of it. So I offer classes that are specific to breath work and intro to mindfulness, like helping people understand what is that? That some people, mindfulness is a very vague word.
Right.
Chair yoga, classes for people who can't sit on the ground or stand. My group classes I was asking our community what days, what times are the best. So I've been taking polls and I'm going to offer a group class schedule soon based on everyone's feedback, which I thank you for. But the classes, they're virtual, so they're on Zoom. And everyone will be able to sign up through my website, my beautiful new website. For now, private classes you can schedule for me. But, that is time that you are making for yourself. So get on the Zoom. We literally start from scratch. I explain what mindfulness is, how we come into the present moment, connecting with our breath. And I teach very specific breathwork practices, as I said, calm our nervous system, but also you can start to feel that change and you might start to feel your inflammation go down.
Okay.
The general, a lot of stretches to relieve tension, tightness. Oh, a big one. There are so many great yoga poses for digestion because a lot of us have digestive issues. It's really tuning into your body awareness and quieting the thinking mind. So I like to say, during this time, you are giving yourself a break from thinking and identifying with your illness. And isn't that nice, having a break? And that's the thing. It translates into your life.
Right. So I was going to ask you, so as a mama of two, what does that look like navigating the studio and home life and then just taking care of yourself? What does that look like?
Apologetic about how I take care of myself. This is from day one of being diagnosed with lupus. I'm putting myself first. And this is not in a selfish way. This is so I can live. So I don't just, I want to have a life. My first affirmation was, thank you for my healing. As I got sick, somebody recommended a meditation teacher who I would go see her talk. So I did get into this early. I told myself I wasn't going to be a sick person. So this is kind of built over.
This is belief systems. This is what
belief system.
Yeah.
This was a mindset. Not to say it wasn't hard hell, but I was on a path. I planned, and I've had so many setbacks. I mean, that's why I feel like launching the studio is almost miraculous, but I believed it for so long. I really this is a dream come true, but I've had many setbacks along the
Yeah.
And then when I had my daughter, I came first. If I couldn't take care of myself, I couldn't take care of her. So my morning routine has basically been the same for 14 years, even after having 2 kids, jobs, marriage. I wake up, I would put my daughter on a mat. I would meditate or do yoga or exercise. And also, this is 30 minutes. This is not we don't have a ton of time. But whatever I could do, I did.
So let's go back to the group sessions because I'm really curious and interested in that specifically. Just because, I mean, I used to practice yoga some years ago. My friend, she had a yoga studio and I would go to hers. And so I do like the mindfulness part of it and just being able to stretch your body. So in the group sessions, is this something that you offer as membership? So we pay a monthly membership to be able to do it, or just it by, each time we want to log on? What does that look like?
Yeah. So right now it's going to be class by class. And I made it really clear when I launched and over these last few weeks, explaining to people what this was all about. Having a chronic illness, there is a huge financial burden. Huge.
Baby, we could talk for hours about that.
And part of my business plan, there's so much that I have thought about our lives and making this work for us because I know all of it. And finances, there's the finances and not knowing how you're going to feel keep people from doing things that help us feel better. So I decided off the bat, if you can't afford a class, no questions asked, shoot me an email. The class is free or reduced price, whatever you can pay. I mean, I do have set prices, but that is something I'm going to make sure happens. And also, if you sign up for a class and you can't make it because you wake up and you don't feel well, or you have a doctor's appointment come up, whatever the case, you don't pay for a class you can't take. I have lost so much money at yoga studios, Pilates studios, paying advance for a class, and then you don't get that money back. So I want to make sure this works for both.
I love that. I freaking love that.
The group class. So I think if people are really unsure of these classes or new to these practices or want one-on-one time, the privates are great to start off. And then in between, you can take group classes or, you can transition from privates into group. But part of the group class experience is community. So my background is in events. These classes are not just an out. This is an event. This is something for you. This is special time for you. And so I want it to feel more than just a yoga or wellness class. And I want people to feel connected, get to know each other, support each other. And I think it's going to happen naturally,
Yeah.
And feel uplifted. This is an environment where we are going to support each other and lift each other.
Yep. I love it. I love it. I love it for you. I love it for us. I'm so glad that you were able to, make your dream come true. Yeah. And also just trust yourself, and trust that you know what you're doing and be able to show up.
You too. We were just talking about that,
Yeah.
I mean, seeing what you're doing, listening to your podcast before coming on today, you're on a mission.
Thank you.
And it's nice. I'm so passionate about that part too.
I am.
There's a bond between us moms with lupus. It just is.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky to get to all meet each other.
Yeah, we are.
Because that's the other part of the studio, not feeling alone. It is the worst feeling in the world. I felt like an alien when I was diagnosed with lupus. I was walking around Manhattan and I was thinking, nobody knows. And also because you can't always tell, most of the time, not tell, nobody knows what I'm experiencing right now. And I met my best friend with lupus on a Facebook group, 13 years taking the same medication at the time. But the group was really negative. There was depressing undertone. And I felt so sorry for everyone, I just wanted people to, I would say it's okay to complain. What are you going to do about it? This was just the complaint hotline. Right? We've been best friends ever since. We've gone through,
Sweet.
we saved each other's lives, I think. Her name's Sarah. She's going to hear this. We saved each other's life.
Hi, Sarah. I think that's beautiful. I think that it's only a select few of people, and not to, be mean about it, but it's just a select few of people that can really handle this with tenacity and grace and just be able to empower others to be able to do the same. And not everybody just has it. I know so many warriors that still keep quiet.
Yeah.
They're too ashamed.
Yeah.
How they really feeling or asking for help.
Yeah.
So just being able to show up and show out and just let them know that they aren't alone, that we can hold their hand along the way. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
It's everybody has something amazing to bring to the table. I always say, I love the chronic illness humor. I'm funny, but I've seen people go on that brings some levity,
Mm-hmm.
lighter, way more than I have in 14 years. Getting to everyone. And everyone has something important to say.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is ready to speak out. I never had a problem. I've been vocal since day one.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that's really a struggle for people. And so I always recommend support. You got to find the right support group, but support groups or just meeting one person. I just needed Sarah for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not feel alone and, to just keep moving forward.
That's beautiful. So where can everybody find you? How can they sign up for your classes?
Sure. So RoxanneLerner.com is my website. As I said, the group class schedule is coming soon. I want to make it, the right times and days for everyone. And group private classes can be scheduled now. You can go to my contact page on my website, shoot me a message, or you can DM me at RL Wellness DC is my Instagram handle. I'm always around to chat. That's the other thing. I don't just leave it to the classes. Get close to my students. I'm available. I'm also a holistic nutrition health coach. So when people feel like they need someone to turn to as it relates to diet or sleep or any habit changes, I have a lot of expertise in that too.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Roxanne, for coming to the show today. I really appreciate being able to chat with you. And until next time, you guys, peace and be intentional. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode of the Lupus Speaks podcast. I hope you found some inspiration, encouragement, and a few loopy gems to carry with you on your journey. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other lupus warriors who might need to hear this. And remember, you don't have to walk this path alone. We're building an incredible community here, so follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Lupus Speaks, or check out lupusspeaks.org for more ways to connect and get involved. And until next time, peace and be intentional.